testimony or anything today.
I got an email from Marty O'Brien who wants to plead up his charges. Or not an email, a jail mail.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I thought he was in custody. I think that they already talked about that.
This may be a driving suspended. I'm not 1272. Yeah, it's a driving suspended and an attempt RO. I'll have to find out who his lawyer is.
I know Chris Yancey was on one. I can't remember who was on the other one.
We have John Bush, Android, Courtney Thomas, Three Rivers Police Department. You know any androids?
Might be one of my kids, though.
Let's see here.
I mean, not my kids, but witness kids.
Yeah, it probably is. You're bringing John. Hello, John.
Hello, Judge.
Does the jail know we need the defendant?
I do not know.
Do you know, Debbie?
Not sure.
Debbie, are we doing the prelims or?
Yeah, we're planning on it.
Well, I mean, yesterday Dave wanted to adjourn them, so I wasn't going to get back to me. He never did. So.
Except for prelim in about 3 minutes.
There might
All right,
be
thank
an
you.
issue with the conflict.
Let me get rolling here. I've got things titled. We've got a couple people in the waiting room. One of your other witnesses is here. Let's get my waterfowl aligned here.
I don't have my little dots down here. My little red dots.
What does that mean?
Usually it shows when it's recording, I have two little red.
Mine shows it's recording, but
Okay.
we don't want to lose it again.
No. Looks like it's doing it.
All right, well, here's Luke. Not sure why he's here. Hello, Luke.
Good afternoon.
What are you watching?
That's Luke's fan club there joining. Let's
No.
find out who
Sorry.
Android is. Luke, are you here because of that email I sent?
I did just see it. No, I have Courtney Thomas.
Oh, do you? All right.
We have a resolution, but I think it may require a waiver of the 14 days.
All right,
On the
we'll
record.
put that on the record here in a moment. Trying to figure out who Android is.
It's Jimmy Hammond, one of the victims.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy Hammond?
Yep, Jameson Hammond.
All right, let me give you a name.
Jimmy, can you turn on the camera? There you go.
There you go.
You can turn it off for now until we start, but I just want to make sure that it works for you, okay?
Mr. Hammond, I'm going to put you in the waiting room, all right? We got some other business to transact. Is Mr.
Hammond.
I'll put
think
you in the waiting room.
Hammon.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
Thank you.
Three Rivers Police Department. Courtney Thomas. Wilson Phillips. Cousin to Austin Phillips.
Hello there.
Hi,
Good
Austin.
morning, Mr. Phillips. This is Judge Middleton. I'm going to put you in the waiting room for a minute, and we'll be back with you in just a few moments, okay? I didn't want you to think I forgot about you, but I'll put you in the waiting room. You're in the right spot. All right, Mr. Thomas was here, and I lost him. Good afternoon, Officer Dibble. Could you take your gum out, please?
Good afternoon.
Just
Thank you.
text him. You caught him before I could text him.
Okay, you text.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. We lost Mr. Thomas.
Ms.
No, Courtney's a he. Oh, no, Courtney Michelle. Oh, it's a she. I thought it was,
I think there's another Courtney Thomas that is a male.
there is a Courtney Thomas that I've known for many years. This is a different person, okay? Well, one of them was here and we lost him.
Yeah, I'm trying to text.
The prelims, or pre-exams took well into the lunch hour. Yeah, Courtney Lane Thomas, different person. Just apologize, Courtney Lane. Let's see, who is Marty O'Brien's lawyer while I'm waiting? Luke.
You talking about Marty O'Brien?
Yeah, he wrote me a letter, said he wants to change his mind and enter a plea.
He did.
I got it this just before lunch. I accept responsibility for my actions and behavior and plead guilty. Hope the clerk could get me into court for sentencing prior to April 5th.
Oh, he has another case with Chris Yancey. He did plead in my case. No set for
Yeah,
sentence.
yours is attempt R&O. Good afternoon, Mr. Hardy. We're waiting for someone who we lost. I'll be back with you in just a minute, but we got some things to discuss about your case.
Okay.
Put you in the waiting room. Any luck with that person, Luke?
Yeah, I'm calling. Yeah, she's trying again. She's trying again here.
All right.
Appreciate the patience.
Well, I've been executing quite a bit of it lately. I've been doing a lot of sitting here waiting for things to come together.
Judge Patterson said the second that, the coast is clear, he's going to expect people to show up in the courtroom immediately. So,
You talking about me or Judge Patterson?
Judge Patterson said that, and maybe you're on the same level. Probably.
Well, there are certain things that Zoom is an advantage. Certain types of cases it works well, other types it does not. But I'm proud of the fact that we're doing as much as we're doing. We're doing everything but jury trials.
Do you have any jury demands in landlord-tenant?
I have one, other than yours, to resolved. I have one pending. One's been removed to circuit court and Judge Stutzman's trying to deal with it. But our landlord-tenant docket is moving along.
That's good.
There's a lot of it. Of course, you all saw that the COVID stay's been extended until June 1. And then on May 31st, they'll probably extend it again.
I think I'm gonna retire,
On June 1?
probably.
Me too, I'm just not sure what year it would be.
It's 2050 for me.
Yeah, so some are closer than others. There are three valuable retirements today. And I've further secured my place as the seniorest person here in the courthouse.
Who retired today, or?
Today is Vilma's last day. The alleged Tom Robertson, his last day is today. And Tim Hostetler, the building and maintenance superintendent, is also retiring. There are a few others in the very near future. Pat Kay. This year, since maybe November, there have been 21 retirements. Most turnover in my time here. I feel like I have to stay just to be a constant. Institutional memory. Well, your client's having trouble, all right. Let's get
Yeah.
2 tin cans and a string.
I'm gonna tell her to maybe try by phone, if that's agreeable.
Well,
It's a waiver of the 14 days.
Yeah, if we can get her here by hook or crook, so go ahead and try it. We've got all the people waiting in the waiting room. Officer Dibble, are you at work? You're on station?
I am on station, yes.
All right, well, we're not taking your personal time, but
Nope.
Did you reach her?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Give her the phone number. I don't know if you want to give me a second here and I can.
Here's David Marvin. Good afternoon, David. We're kind of in hurry up and wait mode. Luke's client was connected and then she wasn't. And we're trying to take care of that piece of business before we address our next one.
Your Honor, did he tell you yet what the plan is for that case?
No, he started to, but the defendant wasn't here and I didn't want to have to do it twice.
Well, I can give you just, how about a one sentence summary?
All right.
We worked out
Here
a
she
deal.
is.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Are you Courtney Michelle Thomas? Not Courtney Thorne Smith or Courtney L. Thomas? Good morning or good afternoon. Can you hear me? Thurman Thomas? Can you hear me? This is Judge Middleton. Who am I speaking with? Let me try this.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, that didn't work either. Yes, what's the arrangement?
Your Honor, we're going to ask for an adjournment for 2 weeks, and we believe that this will be resolved in 2 days, however, and the minute it is resolved, there's going to be a nollie. And what's happening is this defendant is transferring money to Luke Knopfsinger's trust account, and that money is going to be handed over to the victim, and the problem will be solved.
It's accurate.
All right, 2 weeks from today
13.
is April 13th. Is that agreeable with you, Mr. Knopfinger?
Yeah, it is. And I tried calling Courtney and we've spoken about this. So the court would accept an offer of proof. Spoken about this. Unfortunately, she's having some technical problems. But that is accurate. And as Prosecutor Marvin indicated, our hope is that in the next 2 days, this will be resolved.
All right, we'll continue this to April 13th. At 1, if not sooner. I did want to get her waiver of 14 days on the record, but we've already lost 20 minutes of wheel spinning, so I don't know why she wouldn't answer my call. Anyway, we'll put that on the record. We'll adjourn this till April 13th. If it is resolved and dismissed, so be it. If not, we'll be ready to have a prelim on the 13th of April. Thank you, Mr. Marvin. And Luke, I don't know what to tell you about Mr. O'Brien. I'll see that you get a copy of that letter that he sent to me.
Well, I did hear something. I think I heard something this morning about, because I had a PEC with Judge Pattison and Chris Yancey represents him in that case. And I thought that the judge, I don't know what Judge Pattison did, but I made the comment, set it for sentencing the same day as April 5th. He may have pled, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he did on yours. We may have to parse that out.
I think he pled on hers too.
Well, it won't do any good to move my case ahead if his case isn't moved ahead, so we'll see. April 5th is really not all that far away. It's next Monday. So maybe we'll just leave it where it is. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Marvin, are you going to stick around here?
For a little while, I guess.
Yeah, I'd like you to. There's an issue here. Mr. Phillips and Mr. Hammond, I brought you back in. We have some business we need to discuss before we start the case. So I just wanted to check in with you, tell you I didn't forget you. We've spent the last 20 minutes waiting for someone to show up who never did. So we've got that matter taken care of, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. So I'll put you in the waiting room. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Hardy. This is Judge Middleton and your Chase D. Hardy. File 21282FY alleges 2 counts of unlawful imprisonment, which is a felony punishable by up to 15 years imprisonment. 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon. That is alleged to have occurred on February 2nd, 2021 in the city of Three Rivers. Then, in file 21450, you're charged with fleeing, eluding a police officer in the 3rd degree, which is a 5-year felony, and resisting, obstructing a police officer. That is a 2-year felony. That allegedly occurred beginning in the city of Three Rivers and extending into northern St. Joseph and southern Kalamazoo County. These matters are both set for preliminary examination today. I raised a concern with your lawyer and the prosecutors earlier this morning. As you know, you have multiple charges pending, and one of those is a criminal sexual conduct charge and a weapon charge where you and a co-defendant, Seth Wood, are accused of having intercourse with a 15-year-old girl, putting a gun in her mouth. Mr. Paul Gibson represents you in that case, but Mr. John Bush represents your co-defendant, Mr. Wood.
Your Honor, that's not accurate.
Oh, it's not?
Mr. Wood retained Attorney Felt some time ago, and I believe Mr. Hardy also has retained legal counsel in that file.
All right, so you're not representing the co-defendant?
I represented the co-defendant into the circuit court, so
Right.
I've had a lot of dealings with him.
The circuit court didn't list Mr. Felt as attorney of record, so you're no longer representing the co-defendant in that case.
And I do not believe Mr. Gibson represents Mr. Hardy either. He could confirm that.
Yeah, once they leave our court, the register of actions in the circuit court doesn't say who the counsel is. So that's the one where Mr. Sopanos is your attorney. Is that correct, Mr. Hardy?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, then that assuages my concerns about Mr. Bush representing you in this case. Originally, Mr. Knopfinger was appointed, and there was some reason where he couldn't do it, and now Mr. Bush is representing you in these cases. You had asked for an adjournment to retain other counsel, and I refused to grant it because your bond had been denied and you were sitting in custody, and I wasn't certain whether other counsel would be coming in or not. So the prosecutor is here represented by David Marvin and Deborah Davis, and they're ready for a preliminary examination in this case. Mr. Bush, what's the defendant's position here?
I would indicate that earlier in this case, I did bring up to Mr. Hardy the fact that I had a attorney-client relationship with Seth Wood previously, and I knew that they were co-defendants at that time. Unless his position has changed, he indicated he did not feel that was a conflict of interest, and we could get him to waive that on the record today. To the best of my knowledge, no appearance has been filed by any attorney, and I talked to him yesterday, and it's his intention to go forward with a preliminary examination.
All right, Mr. Hardy, let's take this one step at a time. As I indicated, at one point, Mr. Bush represented one of your co-defendants in another case that allegedly occurred in January of 2020. Has nothing to do with this case. And that matter is in the circuit court. You now have a different lawyer. He has a different lawyer. And Mr. Bush indicated you didn't feel that was a conflict for him to represent you in these two cases. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And apparently you're not going to retain an attorney. Are you ready to proceed here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Then give me just a moment. Let me take this other paperwork out here, and I'll be back in 90 seconds. All right, we're ready to begin. We stop the record and restart it. Deborah, I've got you in here again. I think it's Mr. X. Arblin, so let's, all right, we'll put that person in the waiting room. Oops. Now, let's bring Mr. Phillips and Mr. Hammond in. Welcome back. This is Judge Middleton. I'm here at the courtroom in Centerville. We're about to do a preliminary examination in the matter of People versus Chase D. Hardy. As I mentioned earlier, this is file 21282. Mr. Hardy accused of 2 counts of unlawful imprisonment and 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon alleged to have occurred in the city of Three Rivers on February the 3rd. This is a preliminary examination. No one's going to be found guilty or not guilty here today. This is a hearing to determine whether there's probable cause to believe that a crime was committed and probable cause to believe that this defendant did it. The people are represented by Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Deborah Davis. Which witness are you going to call first, Deborah?
I'll be calling Austin Phillips first.
All right, Mr. Hammond. The way this works is one witness can't be in the courtroom and watch another witness while they testify. So if we were here in the court, I'd have you in a separate waiting room. Now I'm going to put you in a virtual waiting room. So don't go away. We're going to take the testimony of Mr. Phillips, and then we'll come back and take your testimony.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Davis, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may.
Your Honor, the people will call Austin Phillips as our first witness.
Mr. Phillips, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you, sir.
Can you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I swear.
Would you state your name, please?
Austin Phillips.
Could you spell that for me?
AUSTINPHILLIPS.
All right, you can put your hand down. In just a moment. I think this is bogus too. I'm gonna just leave him there. It's Paul Gibson. I don't believe it is Paul Gibson. All right, go ahead, Deborah.
Thank you. Austin, how old were you on February 3rd of 2021?
I was 18 years old.
Are you still 18 now?
I am still 18 years old.
And on that date, did you have some contact with Chase Hardy?
No, I didn't contact him. Jimmy Hammond contacted him over Snapchat.
Okay. But on that day, did you go see him, Mr.
Yes.
Hardy?
Yes.
And did you know Chase Hardy before that day?
No, I didn't know Chase personally. I only heard from what Jimmy told me.
And the person that you believe is Chase Hardy, do you see him in the virtual courtroom here today?
I haven't seen him.
Are you on a computer or a tablet or a phone?
I'm on a computer, a school computer.
Are you able to see all of the people that are in the hearing here today?
No, I cannot. I don't know. Oh, gallery view?
Yep, you can
Yes.
set it on that.
Yes.
Now, Do you see anybody in the courtroom that you believe is Chase Hardy?
Mm-mm.
Your Honor, can you have the defendant please stand up? His face is obscured. Austin, do you know that person that just stood up?
Yes, I do.
And who is that person?
Chase Hardy.
And how do you know that that's Chase Hardy?
Just by looking at him, I couldn't see the bottom half of his face since he was sitting down.
Mr. Hardy, thank you. You can have a seat.
And Austin, I'm gonna need you to speak up a little bit. The microphone is a little quiet.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Austin, where did you see Chase Hardy on February 3rd, 2021?
I seen him once he came to pick us up with his mom. And we went over to the apartment.
What time did he come to pick you up with his mom?
It was around 1 o'clock or 12
In the morning or in the afternoon?
in the morning.
And where were you when they came to pick you up?
We were at Jimmy Hammond's place.
And where does Jimmy Hammond live?
He lives East Michigan Avenue in Three Rivers.
Is that in the city of Three Rivers?
Yeah, that's in the city of Three Rivers.
And you said that Chase and his mom came to pick you up. How did they pick you up?
They pulled up on the side and we just hopped in.
Did your parents know that you were going with Chase that night?
No, they did not.
And who was driving the vehicle?
Chase's mom.
Do you know her name?
No, I don't remember.
And what type of vehicle was it?
A white Charger.
Where did you go after they picked you up?
We went to a liquor store right off the highway.
And why did you go to the liquor store?
To get a fifth of Hennessy.
And whose idea was it to get the fifth of Hennessy?
Chase Hardy.
Is Chase old enough to buy liquor?
No, he had his mom buy it.
And who paid for it?
He paid for it. He handed her the money.
What did you guys do when she went into the liquor store?
We just sat, listened to music, and talked.
After she came back to the car, where did you guys go?
We went over to his apartment.
Whose apartment?
Chase Hardy's apartment behind Taco Bell.
And what city is that in?
It's Three Rivers.
When you got to the apartment, who went inside, if anyone?
We, his mom came in for a second, and then she went back out, but we all stayed there.
And so who was there at the apartment that night then?
Me, Chase, and Jimmy.
You said Chase's mom came into the apartment for a minute, but then she left?
Yeah.
Did she come back that night?
No.
Was she going to come back? Did she give you any idea that she would be back?
She said around 9 she should be there.
9 a.m. or p.m.?
9 a.m.
After Chase's mom left, what did you guys do?
We smoked a blunt and we drank the fifth of Hennessy.
What happened after you guys were done drinking?
We were listening to music and talking, and then as we were talking, he got upset and misunderstood me and thought I was talking about his dead aunt.
Who got upset?
Chase Hardy.
And when he got upset, what happened?
He started threatening us and started raising his voice.
And how did he threaten you? What do you mean?
he started saying things like, no one talks about my dead aunt like that, and he was just, I don't know.
Did you know what he was talking about with his aunt that was deceased?
I had no clue about his aunt.
And what happened after that?
After that, it got more intense, and he grabbed a Hennessy bottle and started hitting us with it.
And the Hennessy bottle, was it empty or full?
It was empty.
And where did he hit you?
He hit me in the elbow about 4 or 5 times.
And how did that happen? How did he hit your elbow?
He started swinging at me, and I used my right arm to use as a shield.
What else happened?
He hit Jimmy a few times, I think in the leg, and he also hit him bare fist in the face.
When he was doing this, was he saying
He hit
anything to you?
who, he hit who in the face with his bare fist?
He hit Jimmy Hammond in the face with his bare fist.
Okay.
Was he saying anything when he was hitting you?
He was calling us pussies and kept calling us names and saying no one talks about my dead aunt like that.
Did he have anything else in his hands?
No, he didn't.
And after he was hitting you, what happened?
It started to calm down, and he sat down and we talked for a little bit more. And then he started saying, if I let you guys leave, you're just gonna tell the police.
And did you ask to go home, or what was your plan for that evening?
Once he was getting calmed down, Jimmy asked if we should go, and I don't remember what Chase said in response.
Were you able to get up and leave the apartment?
No, we were not. Jimmy tried to stand up, but Chase pushed him down.
And where were you at in the apartment when this was all happening?
We were in the living room sitting on the couch.
How many exits were there for the apartment, like doors to the outside?
Only one. There's one led out to the balcony. It's only one exit.
Do you remember what floor the apartment was on?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Was it on the bottom floor, like the ground floor?
No, it was, we had to go up some stairs. I think it was the second floor.
Did you have a phone with you?
Yeah, we both did.
And what happened with your phones?
He took them because he thought we were going to tell
Tell who?
the cops.
Did he say why he was worried about you calling the police?
Because I said, that if we get to leave without any bruises or marks, then I wouldn't have the reason to tell the cops. And then he said, so you're an op, or like I'm for the feds. That's what he said.
I guess explain that to me, why he would have said that to you, or what he meant by that to you.
I think he was assuming that I was going to tell on him if I left. I don't know. He was being confusing.
Were there any weapons that night that you saw?
Only on video. He showed us videos of guns.
Was this before or after he hit you with the bottle?
This was before, once we were laughing and hanging out.
And did he say anything about weapons or guns after he assaulted you?
He said if we tried to walk out of the door, he would just shoot us.
And how did that make you feel?
A little scared, but I didn't know what to believe because he didn't bring him up. He only talked about him.
Your Honor, I couldn't hear his answer to that question.
What was
Austin,
that?
can you repeat that?
Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. I asked you how it made you feel when he said he would shoot you if you walked out the door.
I said I was kind of scared, but I didn't know what to believe because he didn't bring any weapons out. He only talked about them.
How long did this fight go on where he was hitting you?
When he was hitting us with the bottle, maybe 15 minutes, but the whole argument about an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Did you fight back?
No, we didn't fight back.
At what point did he take your phones?
After I said the thing, after he said the thing about me being the feds, he said give him our phones.
Where was your phone at that time?
My phone was in my pocket, and Jimmy's phone was also in his pocket.
And so what did you do when he asked for your phones?
We handed it to him.
And do you know what he did with them?
He put them in his pocket.
Which pocket, if you remember?
I think his right pocket.
Front or back?
Front.
After that, what happened?
After that, maybe like 15 minutes after that, he took some Xans.
What do you mean by Xans?
Xanax pills.
And after he took those, what happened?
He started to fall asleep.
And what did you do?
We kept asking him for our phones.
And did he give them back at some point?
At some point he did.
After you got your phones back, what did you do?
Me and Jimmy texted on Snapchat and communicating when we should go, when would be the appropriate time to leave.
And why didn't you just get up and leave right away?
Because we thought that if he woke up, something would happen.
Something like what?
What he was talking about, we didn't know what to believe.
And at what point then were you able to exit the apartment safely?
I'd say about an hour, half an hour after he fell asleep. We knew that he was kind of snoring a little bit, so we left.
And where did you go?
We went out the only exit, and we just went down the stairs and went straight home.
And do you remember what time you got back home?
It was around 7
a.m.?
a.m.
Was anybody at your house when you got there?
Rolanda Hammond was there once we walked in.
And what did you do after you got home?
Me and Jimmy went upstairs and went to bed.
At some point, did you get woken up?
Around 11 a.m., she woke us up yelling.
Do you remember why she was yelling?
She was yelling because she saw the video Chase posted of him hitting us with a bottle.
And what video is that?
What do you mean?
You hadn't mentioned a video before now, so was there a video of Chase hitting you?
Yeah, there was a video posted on his Snapchat of him hitting us with a bottle.
Do you remember when you were getting hit with the bottle, whether he was videotaping or not?
Yeah, I knew he was videotaping.
And how did you know he was videotaping?
He said something along the lines of, like, he's gonna show people how much of a pussy or how much of a bitch we were.
And after you were woken up, did you go to the police department?
Yeah, we went, Rolanda Hammond and my dad, Benjamin Phillips. We all went to the police department.
And did you give a statement to the Three Rivers Police about what had happened?
Yes, I did.
Were you injured during this attack?
Yeah, I tore a muscle on my right elbow.
And did you get some medical treatment for that?
Yeah, I had to get a CAT scan and I had to be wrapped up.
Did you just go to the emergency room, or where did you go to get treated?
We went to the emergency room first, but then we went to a specialist to put the cast on, but he told me, because at the ER, they told me that it was broken. But then once we went to the specialist, he told me that it was just a torn muscle.
Were there any marks left on you from this attack?
There were a few. There were a few bruising.
And where were the bruises at?
On my right elbow in that area.
The entire time that you were at Chase's apartment after his mom left, did anybody come to the door or check on you?
No one.
And did anybody else know that you were there?
Not until he posted the video.
Do you remember when he posted the video?
I'm not quite sure. 3 or 4, maybe.
Was Chase joking around ever when he was hitting you?
No, he was serious.
No further questions of this witness. Austin, the other attorney may have some questions for you.
Mr. Phillips, this is Mr. John Bush. You're still under oath, and he has some questions for you also.
Austin, I know this is a little bit awkward, but we need to go through this. Have you ever testified in any court of law before?
No, I have not.
And you shared with the prosecutor that the plan was to go with Mr. Hardy and to watch TV and drink and smoke dope, but was that the gist of it?
That was the plan.
Before you left at 1 in the morning, had you used any alcohol or smoked any marijuana or anything that day before or that morning?
We didn't have anything. That's why we were hitting people up for some. And Chase was one of the ones that...
So is it your belief that Jimmy initiated the arrangement to go with Chase then?
I went by myself. Like, I didn't go by myself, but I went with my own decision making. I just went with Jimmy.
But Jimmy made the connection with Chase then?
Yes, sir. Jimmy made the connection with him.
Chase didn't call you up or go find you. Jimmy found him?
Jimmy found him.
Can you give us a little bit of idea of what you consumed?
Like how much I drank?
Yeah. I'm
not too sure. I took a sip here and a sip here. I wasn't really counting.
So this was a bottle of Hennessy. Do you know, was it a 1 3/4 liter bottle, or was it a 1 liter bottle, or
a fifth?
It was a fifth bottle. Okay. Was the Hennessy ever poured into shot glasses or glasses to drink, or did everybody
just out of the bottle?
Okay. And is it your recollection that by the end of the evening the bottle was empty?
The bottle was empty by the time we were done.
Was everybody kind of taking equal sips out of the bottle?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Were you starting to feel a little tipsy?
A little bit, yeah.
Was your nose feeling a little numb?
No, my nose wasn't numb.
Was your balance a little bit impaired?
Not too bad, no.
Is any of your memory fuzzy?
Only a little bit. It was a little traumatic, so I remembered a lot of it.
Had you ever used alcohol, consumed alcohol before?
Yes, I have.
Are you drinking regularly every weekend, or was this a
No.
rare occasion?
It's a rare occasion.
And you said you used a blunt, so that was a blunt that had marijuana.
Marijuana, yes.
How many blunts were there?
I think he only rolled one, and we hit out of his bong, too.
And were all three of you using that?
All three of us.
And were you an experienced user of marijuana?
Yes.
I with the background, I didn't hear the answer, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
I said yes, sir.
Thank you. Did you start using the marijuana first, or start drinking the Hennessy?
We smoked the blunt first.
So was that the first thing you did when you got to the apartment?
Yes, sir.
And where did the marijuana come from?
I'm not sure where he got it from.
I mean, did he have it in a box, or did he have it in his pocket, or was it on a table?
He had it in a bag on the counter.
And Peg, were you regularly using marijuana?
Yes, sir.
So this was not the first time by any means.
This wasn't the first time.
Okay. How recently had you used before that night and early morning?
A few days.
And I'm a little unclear. You said the emotional issue started when something was said about his aunt. Do you remember what you said?
I didn't say anything about his aunt. I think we were. I'm sorry, sir. I don't remember what I said.
But you remember the provocation had something to do with his aunt then?
It
Or at
had
least he thought so?
He thought it was something to do with it. He misunderstood. I didn't say anything close to anything about an aunt.
You do have some experience with apparently with marijuana. Was he starting to show the effects of intoxication, he being Mr. Hardy?
I didn't know him before, but I think he was getting tipsy, yes.
And you were talking and you were watching videos then, or watching something on a computer or television screen then?
We were listening to music on the television.
Did you make any telephone calls while you were there to any friends or anything before?
No, sir.
Pardon?
No, sir. I didn't make any phone calls or anything.
When he took your phones, you said he put them in his pocket immediately then, or did you set them down? Or?
He put them in his pocket immediately.
Did he have a phone of his own?
Yeah, he had a phone of his own.
Did he ever talk to anybody by telephone during that evening?
No, he did not.
And then you made a statement about the Xanax pills.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know they were Xanax pills?
Because he told us that it's time for Xanax. Then he grabbed them and swallowed them.
Were they in a pill container? Or?
I'm not sure what they were from, but he went to his room to grab them.
So did you actually see him take tablets?
Yeah, I seen him put tablets in his mouth and swallow them.
Any idea how many he swallowed?
No, I'm sorry, sir. I don't.
Did it appear to just be one tablet, or did it look
No,
like a?
it was more than one.
And did he use some sort of a liquid or whatever to help swallow the tablets?
I think he used the pop that was on the counter.
At this point, the Hennessy was all gone, man.
Yeah, the Hennessy was all gone.
Was there ever any talk about getting more alcohol after the Hennessy was gone?
There was no more talk about the alcohol after that.
And was this all in the living room area? Did you ever go into any other room of his apartment?
No, I didn't go to any other room.
But he left at least one time to go and get the pills.
Yes, sir.
Did anybody have to leave the living room to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, actually, I did use the bathroom, and Jimmy used the bathroom.
Was at that point, was Mr. Hardy still conscious, or was this when he was starting to fall asleep?
This was once we were having fun, good time. He wasn't mad at us.
Did you eat any food while you were there?
Actually, Chase gave me some chicken.
Like grilled chicken or fried chicken? Or
Yeah.
did you eat it? He said he gave it to you.
It was like fried chicken, yeah.
So did you consume it?
Yeah, I consumed it.
Did anybody else eat chicken?
No, I think he had a piece of it, but I ate it.
And then at some point you determined he was fully asleep then?
Yes.
Did you shake him or say, hey, Chase, or anything to see if he was going to wake up?
We said, hey, Chase, can we get our phones back? Can we get our phones back? And then eventually he gave us our phones and he put his head back down, and we waited for him to keep his eyes closed for a long enough time where we knew he was asleep.
And then as I understand it, you two just got up and walked out of the apartment then?
Yeah.
Did you take anything from the apartment while he was asleep?
No.
Did you ever frisk him or feel what was in his pockets or anything?
No, sir.
Did you use your cameras to take any pictures or make any video recordings?
I took one picture. I took a picture of the Hennessy bottle.
Have you provided that to Miss Davis's office?
What was that?
Have you provided that picture to the prosecutor or to the police department?
No, I didn't.
And when did you take the picture of the Hennessy bottle?
About when it was halfway gone.
So everybody was still having a good time and partying then?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else take any pictures?
I'm not quite sure.
You don't remember, you don't know, or?
The only one I know of is the video Chase took. I don't know if they took any other pictures in that.
Was he holding the camera phone when he did that, or was the phone propped up somewhere? Or tell us how that was produced.
Oh, yeah, he did have that in his hand while he was sitting with us. At first, he didn't have it in his hand, but he got it out, and then.
Was that both when you remembered being struck by him and also when your friend was being struck by him?
Say that again.
When he had the phone/camera in his hand, you said that's how he struck you?
Yeah, he struck us with his right hand, and he had his left hand with the phone.
Was he also using the phone when he struck your friend?
No, he didn't use the phone to strike anyone.
Was he taking pictures with the phone when he struck your friend?
Only a little bit. Yeah.
Did you think it was odd that he was using a phone that was a camera to take pictures of what was happening?
Well, I didn't think it was odd. I just thought it was bogus.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Davis, anything further?
No, no further questions.
All right, Mr. Phillips, I'm going to remove you from the session. You're free to go on about your business. Please stay in contact with the prosecutor. Thank you for your coming here today to testify. I'm going to bring in who I've got is Mr. Gibson. If it was Mr. Gibson, he knows how to spell his own name, and then I'll bring in Mr. Hammond. And we'll rename Mr. Gibson. Mr. Gibson, or whoever you are, is gone. Now we'll bring Mr. Jimmy Hammond in. Mr. Hammond, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you for waiting. This is Judge Middleton here at the courthouse once again. Could I ask you to take your gum out, please, before we start taking your testimony? You can just set it aside. All right, Mr. Hammond, can you see me?
Yes, I can.
All right, I'd like you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Deborah Davis from the prosecutor's office has got some questions for you. Then Mr. Bush will ask you some questions. You are under oath. Deborah?
Jimmy, can you spell your first name for the record, please?
My real name, like my birth name?
Your birth name.
JAMASIN. Hammond. My last name?
Yep, the spelling of your last name too, please.
HAMMON.
And how old are you, Jimmy?
15.
And how old were you on February 3rd, 2021?
14.
You were 14?
Yeah, it was. I turned 15 the 23rd of February.
Jimmy, on February 3rd, 2021, did you have some contact with Chase Hardy?
Yes.
And did you know him before that day?
Yeah.
How did you know him?
Oh, at first I started off with when we was talking on Snapchat about my tattoo gun that I had. And then we hung out a few times. And then after that, like, I thought everything was cool. And nothing like this happened before.
I'm sorry, you're trailing
Yeah,
off a little bit,
we're
Jimmy.
losing you.
You said that before February 3rd, you guys had hung out a few times and you guys were cool, like you were friends?
Yeah.
And on February 3rd, how did you contact Chase?
On Snapchat.
And Jimmy, are you using a phone right now for your device?
Yeah.
Can you only see me when we're talking?
Yeah.
Can you scroll through the participants that are here? And if you see Chase Hardy, can you tell me what he's wearing or what he looks like? And Your Honor, can we have everybody sit up straight?
All it says is participants, and it says the Fearless Police Department.
Can you put it into a gallery view or swipe to the right on your phone?
Oh, yep, I can. He's got a blue shirt on.
Can you be more descriptive?
Brown hair, white male.
And the background, I'm sorry, there's not much to look at of him. What's the background of the photo or the video?
White bricks with a red door, red windowsill, and an outlet.
Okay,
And
that was
part of
very
it.
descriptive. Thank you, Jimmy. Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant?
Is that person Chase Hardy that you know?
Yes.
Yes, it may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jimmy, you can go back to just active speaker mode if that's easier for you. On February 3rd, why did you contact Chase Hardy?
To hang out with him that night and to smoke and drink.
And did you go hang out with him that night?
Yes.
And where did you guys hang out on February 3rd?
At his house, at his apartment.
Do you know where his apartment is located?
Behind Taco Bell on Three Rivers, Bentwaters.
And that's in St. Joseph County, Michigan?
Yes.
When you were there at his apartment, who else was with you?
Just me, him, and Austin.
Austin? Is that what you said?
Yes. Me,
Is
him,
it
and
Austin Phillips?
Yes.
Can you tell me what happened when you were at Chase's apartment?
We started smoking and drinking, and then he thought we were talking about his dead family, and then he got mad, and then later on he started hitting us, and he took our phones and told us that we couldn't leave because he said that Austin was a cop.
And let's go back a little bit. That was a lot. So were you having a good time for a while, or what was going on when you first got there?
Yeah, when we first got there, it was a good time, and then things changed.
And when things changed, you said that Chase got mad. What did he do?
He started yelling and kept telling us to stand up to fight him and everything, and then he started hitting us.
Did you try to fight him?
No.
What did he hit you with?
A Hennessy bottle, empty Hennessy bottle.
And when he was hitting you, was he saying anything to you?
Yeah, he was calling us bitches.
And did you try to protect yourself at all?
Yes.
And how did you do that?
I put my hands over my face and everything, and then like curled up into a ball.
I'm sorry, it's cutting out a little bit. Jimmy, can you say that again, please?
I covered my face with my arms and then curled up into a ball so he couldn't hit where like my face or anything.
Where were you at in the apartment when this was going on?
In the living room on the couch.
And did you ask to leave at some point?
Yeah, later on, and then he said no.
When he said no, did he say why?
No.
Did he make any statements about whether or not you could leave?
He just told us that we couldn't leave and took our phones.
What did he do with your phone when he took it?
He just put them in his pocket or put them behind him.
And do you know how long this all went on from when he first started hitting you and fighting to when he took your phones?
I think from about 11 o'clock p.m. or midnight to like 5, 6 in the morning when we were actually able to leave.
And how were you able to leave?
He took his Xanax and went to sleep, and then we snuck out after he gave us our phones back right before he went to sleep.
And you said he gave you your phones back right before he went to sleep. Why didn't you leave right then?
Because he was awake, and we didn't want him trying to hit us or stop us from leaving. and because he said that he was showing off his guns on videos and telling us how he had his guns and everything. And he said that he said, "You don't know, I might have one," so we didn't try and leave or anything.
And how did it make you feel when he was telling you these things?
I don't know.
I mean, did you believe him, or did you think he was joking?
I believed him.
And do you know how long after he fell asleep that you were able to sneak out?
Like 5-10 minutes, 20 minutes at most.
And where did you go after you left the apartment?
Back here at my house.
And where's your house located? Without giving the address, what city is it located in?
In Three Rivers.
At some point, did you go make a statement to the police about what had happened?
I did not. He posted the video on Snapchat and it got around, and then my mom and Austin's dad saw it first, and I told my mom, and then my mom and his dad, me and him all went up to the police station.
And let's go back to the video. You said he posted a video. Who posted a video of this incident?
Chase did.
And were you aware that he was taking a video when it was happening?
Yes.
And how did you know he was taking a video?
Because he had his phone in his hand when he was doing it.
And was he saying anything that you remember?
Just that he was calling us the names, and then I think he said something about how we were talking crap about his dead aunt. And then when he started the video, he was like, said something about his aunt, and then calling us names and then started hating us.
Do you know his aunt that is deceased?
No, I do not.
And had you said anything about any family members of his?
No, I did not.
Did you have any injuries or marks or bruises from him hitting you?
All I had was a knot on my eyebrow, like at the end of my eye from after I tried stopping him from hitting us with the Hennessy bottle. I put my leg down on top of it, and then he punched me in my face.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Can you repeat that?
When he was hitting us with the Hennessy bottle, I tried stopping it by putting it under my leg and grabbing it. But when he grabbed it and he kind of dropped it, I tucked my leg over it, and then he punched me in my face.
When you say he punched you, with a closed fist?
Yes.
Did anybody know that you were going to Chase's house that night?
No, just him and his mom.
And did anybody come to the door or check on you while you were there?
Nope.
I don't believe I have any further questions of this witness.
Mr. Hammond, there are some opportunity for Chase's lawyer to ask you some questions. So that's Mr. Bush. He's going to ask you some questions now. You are still under oath. Mr. Bush?
Thank you, Judge. May I call you Jameson?
Yeah.
Jameson, you were 14 years of age that day. But you were the friend with Mr. Hardy, is that my understanding?
Yes.
And tell me again, it had something to do with a tattoo machine? I'm not that sophisticated in that area.
That's just how we met.
You had a tattoo apparatus, is that it? Or?
Yeah, I did.
And you'd had face-to-face contact with Chase Hardy before that day then?
No.
It wasn't all just electronically? I mean, you actually met with each other?
It was, okay, so we were talking about it, and then that's when we first met, is he was going to buy it off of me.
So this was the first time you were physically in his presence then?
Yes.
Okay. And it was your understanding when you went there that you were going to consume alcohol and smoke marijuana then?
Yes.
And you weren't very old at that time, were you? Had you ever used alcohol before? Consumed alcohol?
Yes.
Were you a regular user of alcohol?
No.
And had you used marijuana before that day?
Yes.
How recently had you used it?
I don't know. The day before.
I'm sorry, I did not hear the answer.
I said, I think the day before.
Okay. But on the actual day that his mother and he picked you up, had you used anything within 24 hours
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
to marijuana?
Yes.
Did you know where you were going when you were picked up?
Yes.
And where was that?
At his house or at his apartment in Badwater.
So you knew he lived in the community then?
Yes.
Did you bring any money with you? Did you pay him for the drugs or the alcohol or anything?
No.
When he either went to sleep or lost consciousness or whatever, did you ever touch him?
No.
You never looked in his pockets to find anything?
No.
When you were at his apartment, when you left, did you take anything that was there?
No.
Was there any discussion about taking anything?
No.
We know from earlier testimony that there was a what's described as a fifth bottle of Hennessy, and you drank some of that. How were you drinking that?
Straight out the bottle.
Did anybody have a shot glass or glass or anything?
Yeah.
Who drank out of a container?
Chase.
Did everybody seem to be drinking about equal amounts of alcohol?
What'd you say?
Did everybody seem to be drinking equal amounts of alcohol?
Yes.
Were you starting to get a little bit of a buzz? Were you feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you a little bit unsteady on your feet?
A little bit, yeah.
At least once, is it true you had to get up and go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
And you were able to do that yourself?
Yes.
Was the alcohol consumed before or after you used the marijuana?
Before.
How long did? Go ahead.
It was right before and at the kind of like at the same time.
How long? I realize you didn't have a stopwatch out, but how long do you think it took the three of you to knock off the bottle of Hennessy?
Probably about a couple hours at most.
Was it getting a little louder, a little more raucous? Was everybody feeling pretty good?
Not. It wasn't too loud, but it was. Besides a little bit of yelling, yeah. It wasn't loud. Besides the yelling.
Were you feeling good?
Yeah.
And at some point, there was some marijuana used. How was that smoked?
Through a bong.
Through a bong? Was it through a blunt?
There was a blunt, yes.
There was both then?
Yeah.
So did everybody take hits off the bong and hits off the blunt then?
Yeah.
And was that about an equal amount between the three of you?
Yeah. Well, except for Chase. Chase only took a couple hits.
So is any of your memory a little bit fuzzy with the alcohol and the marijuana that you had that evening?
A little bit. Like, I don't remember everything that happened, but I do recall.
Did you ever make any phone calls?
Not that I remember.
Did anybody make any phone calls that you recall? Either Austin or Chase?
Not that I remember.
And tell me, how many times do you think you were struck?
I have no clue.
But you had a bruise, you said, and that was just...
Yeah.
Did you assume a defensive posture?
Huh?
I mean, did you curl up or did you try to cover your head or?
Okay, so when I curled up and then when I seen the opportunity to try and grab the Hennessy bottle, I sat up kinda and then tucked my leg over it and then that's when he hit me.
Did you ever try and restrain him or strike back or do anything to stop the assault?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Davis?
Jimmy, did Chase know how old you and Austin were?
I don't think he knew exactly how old Austin was, but he knew I was young.
When you say young, what do you mean?
Like, I don't think he knew my exact age, but I think he knew, like, around the age range.
And why do you think that?
I don't remember telling him exactly how old I was, besides one time, but I don't know if he
Your Honor, I didn't hear those last answers.
Can you state that again, Jimmy?
I think I told him one time how old I was, and then I don't know if he remembered it after that, if he remembered how old I was.
No further questions.
Jimmy, are you and Austin in school?
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
I'm in 9th.
This was a school night. This was Tuesday into a Wednesday or Wednesday into a Thursday. Did you have to go, were you supposed to go to school the next day?
I do all virtual, so it's all on the computers. They told me it don't matter what time I log on, as long as I do log on. And I do have attendance, and that's what I normally do. I'm actually going to be hopping on school after this.
All right, I didn't hear all that, but you didn't have to go to in-person school. You had to do virtual school at whatever time you had to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just don't have I don't have a time limit exactly when I have to do it. But.
All right, is Austin in school?
I think. I'm not totally sure. I'm pretty sure he is.
All right. If no one has any further questions, I'm going to release Mr. Hammond.
Yeah, I'd like to ask one more question, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. Jameson, what's your relationship with Austin? Are you related or just cronies or friends?
We're friends, but my mom and his dad are in a relationship, so it's like not completely step siblings, but our parents are in a relationship.
Do you live in the same household?
We did, but then Austin moved out.
I mean, did you back on the day in question?
Huh?
Back on February 23rd, were you living in the same household?
Yes, I was.
Okay,
yes,
thank
I
you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Jimmy. You did a fine job here. I'm going to release you. The prosecutor's office will be in contact with you. All right, Ms. Davis, anything further?
Yes, Your Honor, the people will call Officer Steve Dibble.
Officer Dibble, would you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
All right.
Officer Dibble, would you state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Steve Dibble, D-I-B-B-L-E.
Were you on duty as a police officer for the city of Three Rivers on February 4th, 2021?
I was.
On that day, did you take a complaint from Austin Phillips and Jamison Hammond?
That's correct.
Do you remember what time of day you came into contact with those two individuals?
I don't recall exactly, but I believe it was around 11 a.m.
And where did you come into contact with those two?
They came to the police department.
Based on the complaint that they made, did you do any further investigation?
In what fashion, I suppose?
After they made the complaint to you, what did you do?
I attempted to locate Mr. Hardy. I spoke with both victims as well and their parents in regards to the investigation.
And were you familiar with Chase Hardy?
Yes.
And were you able to make contact with him on that day?
No, not him.
No further questions.
Mr. Bush?
No questions, Your Honor.
Anything further, Ms. Davis?
No, Your Honor. I would ask the court to permit Officer Dibble to be released before arguments so that he can relieve Sergeant Smith, who is on our next case, if that is acceptable.
Yes, any objection, Mr. Bush?
No objection.
All right, you can either just go and Elaine can occupy that seat, or you're free to go, but you can just leave the connection up.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Davis, anything further?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Bush?
The defendant would present no witnesses at preliminary examination, Your Honor.
Motion and argument?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state of Michigan would ask that Chase Hardy be bound over to the circuit court as charged on the complaint with 2 counts of unlawful imprisonment and 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon. The testimony provided by the victims in this case shows that they both were at Mr. Hardy's apartment in the city of Three Rivers on February 3rd, 2021, that they originally went there willingly, but at some point in the evening, Mr. Hardy flipped out on them and held them, beat them with an empty Hennessy bottle, which was being used as a weapon, a dangerous weapon. He was not intending to inflict great bodily harm or murder, but he was in fact assaulting them with this bottle. There's actually a video apparently that the kids both referred to that Mr. Hardy took while he was doing this. He then threatened the 2 kids that if they tried to leave, that he would assault them again or shoot them. The kids both had a reasonable belief that he could carry that out, as he had shown them videos of him with firearms earlier in the evening, and then alluded to the fact that if they left, he would shoot them and that he might have a gun. I believe that they were restrained from being able to freely leave when they wanted to. They both stated that they had asked to leave and he did not let them. I believe the one testified that when they stood up to leave, Mr. Hardy shoved him back down onto the couch. With the assault, both of the boys were injured, one probably more seriously than the other, with having torn muscle in his elbow from trying to deflect the bottle while he was being assaulted. But obviously, neither of these individuals consented to this contact with Mr. Hardy once he began beating them, and it moved from a consent going over to hang out, which was ill-advised from the beginning, but they did it. But I believe that their testimony was believable, it was credible, and there's at least probable cause for each of the elements here to bind him over as charged, and that it all happened in the city of Three Rivers in St. Joseph County, Michigan. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Bush?
Your Honor, thank you. I would ask the court to review the testimony in the light of the standard of the state of Michigan. We have 2 young, not even adults, at the time of the incident individuals who, by their own candid testimony, consumed significant amount of alcohol and used controlled substance marijuana. Admissions that their memories are not perfect under the circumstances. I submit that the prosecuting attorney has not met the burden and ask that the court would dismiss the charges.
Ms. Davis, you said apparently there's a video. Have the police secured that video?
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecutor Marvin has viewed it. I have not, but there is a video.
That's fine.
I would indicate that I have a request for that, Your Honor. It just has not made it to my office yet.
Mr. Hardy, as I told you, you weren't going to be found guilty or not guilty at this hearing. It's a probable cause hearing. But there certainly is sufficient probable cause to believe that you assaulted each of these boys with a liquor bottle. And there's probable cause to believe they weren't allowed to leave at the time they wanted to leave. You kept their phones, threatened them to leave with the possibility of a gun, and they'd already been assaulted with a bottle. So there is sufficient evidence. There's also sufficient evidence to charge your mother with contributing to delinquency of a bunch of underage kids. Yeesh. Anyway, the matter will be bound over to the circuit court on the charges as filed in the charges and complaint. I think bond was denied in this case.
Did we address bond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, Chase Hardy is 20 years of age. He's single. He has a girlfriend in the community. He's been working Chem Lincoln Schoolcraft for approximately 6 years. He's lived in the area most of his life, to the best of my knowledge. He does have a pending charge in the St. Joe County Circuit Court. I believe bond has been posted on that matter. I do not believe he's a flight risk. With appropriate conditions on bond, certainly no contact with any of the victims in this case. I would ask the court to set a bond at $20,000 cash or commercial surety.
I'm the one that denied the bond. I've got some serious concerns. Mr. Hardy has some record as a younger person, but he's on bond on 4 other cases. In January of 2020, he allegedly hit someone with his car. There's a video of it, and left the scene. He's charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and failure to stop in a personal injury accident. He's bound over to the circuit court on January 28th of 2020. That matter is still pending in the circuit court. On January 20th, he allegedly sexually assaulted a 15-year-old girl, intercourse and other penetration, put a gun in her mouth. He's bound over to circuit court on 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct, 4th degree. On April 2nd of 2020, he allegedly slashed 4 tires on his former girlfriend's car, and he's charged with malicious destruction of property over $200 but less than $1,000. He's on bond on that case as well. He has a no alcohol condition that I put on him, and he got arrested for operating while intoxicated on November 27th. He pled guilty to impaired driving. He was passed out behind the Riverside Church at about 5 o'clock in the morning, all while he was on bond on these other charges. Then he is charged with this case on February the 3rd of 2021, where he was again drinking, and he wasn't supposed to be smoking marijuana. He wasn't supposed to be beat 2 teenagers with a bottle and filmed it. Then he had the foolish audacity to post it on YouTube, and he was set for sentencing on a date in February, and he told me he no longer worked at ChemLink. He was working at some apple farm in Ottawa County somewhere, I told him there was an open warrant for his arrest and he needed to come down here and turn himself in. That didn't happen. He was out and about, and then he was spotted in Three Rivers, and they had a chase, and that's the genesis of the next case, where he's charged with fleeing and eluding and resisting and obstructing a police officer on February 25th. I believe he also Snapchatted or live streamed that till he crashed his car. Then, unbelievably, they didn't keep an officer on him, and he walked out of the hospital, and they had to catch him all over again. He's now bound over to circuit court on assault with a dangerous weapon, 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct, unlawful imprisonment. He's pending sentence on an operating while intoxicated by drugs, and he's alleged to have slashed 4 of his girlfriend's tires, and he's still pending an R&O charge. In addition, I think Judge Stutzman may have canceled his bond on some of those bound over felony cases. So he is a danger to society, he is a flight risk, and he needs to stay where he is for his own good. So the motion to establish bond is denied.
Well, is bond actually denied then in this file? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Now, I understand that puts a burden on the prosecutor, but I was particularly troubled. I handled some of the earlier cases and saw the video where he allegedly hit that boy with his car. It's hard to watch. Then there's a second incident where he put a gun in the girl's mouth and videoed all that. Inexplicably, the prosecutor didn't charge felony firearm in that case, previous administration. He's dangerous to himself and to other people. So it's denied, and it may need to be established in circuit court, but I think Judge Stutzman already also denied it. I understand that makes the clock tick faster, but I don't want something bad to happen to him or to anyone else. I was afraid he was going to kill himself when he was running from the cops and YOLOing it. So we'll come back here in a few minutes and we'll take the next case. Bond in this case is denied.
Thank you.
Let me have a few minutes to get started. Mr. Hardy, if you need to use the restroom or something, ask the guard and then come back in. We'll be back here in just a minute.
Your Honor, I'm going to do the same thing.
All right, we'll reconvene at 10 to 3. All right, there's the bundle. We're in this one.
Your Honor.
Yeah?
So
I
you
can't
said
talk to you. What's that?
You said I can go to the bathroom if I have to?
Yeah, go ahead. Ask the guard if you can use the restroom.
All
We'll
right,
be back
thank you.
at 10 to 3.
All right, thank you. Jeremy, can I use the bathroom, please? The judge said that if I have to use the bathroom, I can. I got a case I have to be in. I'll probably be up here for another minute, and I have to go pee, please. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Which one for?
Just go out there to book me and I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
I left the live feed on, but
You can sit down, Chase.
Sure is noisy at the jail. I'm reluctant to mute that microphone because it's hard to unmute it, so. Mr. Hardy's been very appropriate, so I don't feel the need to mute it, but there's a lot of banging going on out there. All right, that completes the first case. Good afternoon, Sergeant Smith. You're on mute there.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
All right, let's go ahead and start over again. The next matter is People versus Chase D. Hardy, file 21450. It's entitled People of the State of Michigan versus Chase Hardy. The charge is fleeing and eluding and resisting and obstructing a police officer. It's alleged that on or about February 25th, the defendant was driving a vehicle that was given a signal by voice, emergency light, or siren by Officer Michael Kendall of the Three Rivers Police Department, directing him to bring his vehicle to a stop, and he did willfully fail to obey by increasing the speed, attempting to flee and elude, resulting in a collision or an accident. That's a felony punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $1,000. Second count alleges resisting and obstructing a police officer. Again, Michael Candolph of the Three Rivers Police Department. Ms. Davis, are the people ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Mr. Bush, are you ready?
Defense counsel's ready, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Davis, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, is Officer Candolph in the waiting room? He's the lead officer, so I'd like to have him in here, but Sergeant Smith will be testifying first so that she can be relieved.
He's not here.
Present. He is present with me.
Oh, he's with you. Okay.
Yes, he said we're at the police department.
All
Very
right.
good. Well, then, Your Honor, the people will call Sergeant Elaine Smith as our first witness.
All right. Sergeant Smith, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
All right. Elaine, we've got a little trouble with that feed there with the mic, so try to stay close to the microphone.
Sergeant Smith, will you state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Elaine, E-L-A-I-N-E, Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
And Sergeant Smith, were you on duty for the Three Rivers Police Department on February 25th of 2021?
Yes.
And on that date, were you in uniform?
Yes.
And what is your typical uniform?
Road patrol uniform with the badge, name tag.
What you're wearing now?
Excuse me?
Is it same as you're wearing now?
Yes.
And what vehicle were you in on that date?
Vehicle 822.
And is that a marked patrol vehicle?
Yes, it is.
And what type of markings does it have on it to indicate it might be a police vehicle?
On the sides, it has Three Rivers Police Department on the doors.
Are there lights on it?
There's lights on the front and in the back.
And on that date, did you come into contact?
Just a second. What kind of vehicle is it?
It's a Chevy Tahoe.
All right.
On that date, were you called to assist Officer Candolph?
Yes.
And where were you called to assist Officer Candolph?
He was called to North Main Shell in reference to Chase Hardy being at the store.
And where is the North Main Shell?
The exact address.
No, just what part of the county is it in?
And it's in Three Rivers on the north side of town.
And that's located in St. Joseph County?
Yes, it is.
And why was it important that Chase Hardy was there at the Shell on that day?
The employees there knew that he had outstanding warrants, and so they made contact with civil dispatch to let them know that he was there at the store.
And do you recall what time of day that call came in?
Approximately at 1:30 p.m.
And how quickly were you able to go to that area?
I believe fairly quickly. We can get to anywhere in the city within 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes.
Were you given a description of a suspect vehicle?
Yes, it was a white SUV with North Carolina plates.
And were you able to find a white SUV with North Carolina plates in Three Rivers on that day?
Yes.
And tell me what happened.
Officer Mike Hendoff was first on scene. I was probably a block away. I saw him activate his lights as he's talking on the radio stating that Chase had left North Main Shell. He was attempting to stop the vehicle, but he would not stop. And then at that time, Officer Hendoff called out he was in pursuit of the vehicle. And then by that time, by the time he was on US 131, I was directly right behind him.
And when you were on US 131, did you have lights and sirens on your vehicle?
Yes, we both had lights and sirens on.
How close were you to the suspect vehicle?
I was approximately 2 cars back.
And where did this pursuit end up going?
This pursuit ended up in Schoolcraft, and then it headed back southbound towards Three Rivers. We basically did a loop from Schoolcraft because he took back roads to head back to Three Rivers, which ended up on US 131, I believe XYZ Avenue in Kalamazoo County.
Did you go through downtown Schoolcraft in this chase?
Yes, we did.
Were there other vehicles on the road during this chase?
Yes.
Do you know what the speed limit is through downtown Schoolcraft?
No, I do not.
Was there any point in the pursuit where the speed limit was less than 35 miles per hour?
I do not know.
Okay, that's all right. Do you recall how long the pursuit lasted?
No, I cannot give you exact how long it lasted.
Were you in view of the suspect vehicle the entire time during the pursuit?
Yes, I was.
Were you able to identify who was driving the vehicle?
No, I was not.
During the pursuit, you could not?
Not during the pursuit. I wasn't the lead officer. Mike Handoff was.
How did the pursuit end?
The pursuit ended when he did the loop to come back to US 131 off XY Avenue. We thought he was gonna he attempted to turn southbound, headed back towards Three Rivers, going around the vehicle, almost hitting that vehicle to keep straight on XY Avenue. There was another car coming. At this particular time, we were getting into heavy traffic, and as we're going, there was a vehicle. It was a citizen's vehicle in front of the police officers, and Chase attempted to go around this vehicle. This vehicle was speeding up, slowing down, didn't know what to do. And at that time, I sped my vehicle up to keep Chase from going into the roadway. And at that time, Chase's vehicle collided with mine, and his went to the side of the road into a snowbank.
And so there was an accident that occurred at the end of this pursuit?
Yes.
After the accident, what happened?
After the accident, both officers quickly got out of their vehicles. Chase was ordered to get out of the vehicle. He did not get out of the vehicle. Officer Handoff open up the passenger side of the vehicle, directing him to get out of the car. He would not. I opened up the driver's side of the vehicle. He still didn't want to get out. And so I tased him on the thigh. And then while I tased him on the thigh, Officer Kendall pulled him out of the vehicle. And at that time, he was handcuffed and taken back to my patrol vehicle.
Was there enough room for him to get out of the driver's side?
I believe so, yes.
And
I was able to open the vehicle, yes, the vehicle door.
Your Honor,
Just a minute. Don't say anything at this point. Go ahead.
after he was removed from the vehicle, you said he was placed in the back of your patrol vehicle. Is that accurate?
Yes, he was placed, yes, in the back of my patrol vehicle.
And did anything of note or of importance happen while he was in your patrol vehicle?
Well, he explained to Officer Candoff that he had taken some prescription drugs. And at that time, medical was called and he vomited in the backseat of my vehicle.
Were you able to identify any pills or drugs or anything in the vomit?
No.
Nice. Good question, right? Did you see any other signs that he had in fact ingested any narcotics or prescriptions of any sort?
Yes, in his vehicle, there was prescription pills that were found.
And were they prescribed to him or somebody else?
Yes, they were prescribed to him. They were actually newly prescribed.
What was his demeanor when he was with you? Was he quiet or loud or?
His eyes were watery, face is red. Yes.
Did medical end up taking him to the hospital?
Yes, they did.
And is that the extent of your involvement with this case?
Yes.
The person that you assisted with getting out of the vehicle and vomited in your vehicle, is he in the virtual courtroom here today?
Yes, he is.
And can you describe what he's wearing or what he looks like?
He's wearing a uniform just like, you're talking about Chase, prescribed Chase?
Yes, the person that you pursued that day.
Okay, I'm sorry. He's wearing a green and white shirt, striped shirt, and he's half facial hair.
Your Honor, may the record reflect she's identified the defendant?
It may.
Thank you. I don't believe I have any further questions for this witness.
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Bush?
at this time, I think it would be appropriate for me to go into a breakout room with Mr. Hardy.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hardy, I'm going to put you in a room so you can talk to your attorney. Stay right where you are, Chase.
I'm not leaving, sir.
Okay. Why don't you stop the record for a moment? The live stream is still on.
Your Honor, can you put me into a breakout room with the officers, please?
Not without closing the other room.
Oh, I'll just go mute and call Officer Kendall then.
All right.
Is it Officer Candoll?
Kandoff. That's how they spelled it. I haven't met him yet. and owned him known for 30 years. All right, we're back. Let's go back on the record. We took a brief recess while Mr. Bush had an opportunity to talk privately with Mr. Hardy. Mr. Bush, what's your preference at this point?
I would like to do my cross-examination of this witness, Chairman.
All right, thank you. Sergeant Smith, you're still under oath. Go ahead, Mr. Bush.
Thank you. Sergeant Smith, this is a search for the facts of what happened. Did you have a body cam on that day?
Yes, I did.
And has that been preserved?
Yes, it has.
And that would have shown everything that you saw from when you exited your vehicle until Mr. Hardy went into custody?
Yes.
Do you recall, did he have his hands up in like a surrendering position when you came to the vehicle?
I did not recall.
Could he have had his hands up?
Your Honor, I guess he's calling for speculation. She says she doesn't recall. If he's got something to refresh her memory, that's one thing, but I think he's asking her to speculate.
Well, she can give the best answer she can. The question is, could he have had his hands up?
I have not watched the video since the day of. I don't recall.
Well, I'll follow up. With the impact and the collision, is it true there was damage to the driver's side of the vehicle and the driver's side door?
Of Chase's Hardy's vehicle?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it also true that it was very, very difficult to get that door to open?
I did not have a hard time opening the vehicle.
And when you opened it, how far would it pull open?
It pulled open where I could get my body in the door frame.
And at any time, did you see Mr. Hardy trying to move his legs and try to move his body over toward the passenger side so he could exit the vehicle to your partner?
No, I did not.
Cause she wasn't in the door.
What was
Mr. Hardy, just try to stay quiet and just listen. If Mr. Bush may ask you something later, but right now, just don't say anything.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you never saw Mr. Hardy making efforts to try to get to the passenger side of that vehicle?
I do not recall that.
When you came to the vehicle, did he have a seatbelt on?
I don't recall that either, whether he had a seatbelt on or not.
Prior to that day, had you been involved in trying to locate and bring Mr. Hardy into custody?
No, I had not.
So you'd never talked to any of his family members about trying to locate him?
No, I had not.
Dispatch. Disorderly. Three Rivers Health, 701, South Health Parkway, Three Rivers.
Did Mr. Hardy say any words when you came to the driver's side door?
I cannot remember his words without looking at the video.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Did he have a phone?
He did sign a phone after he was placed in custody.
Anything further, Ms. Davis?
Just briefly, with that phone, was there anything of evidentiary value related to the phone?
On the scene.
I was notified by Officer Max Coon from Constantine Police Department that the chase was on Snapchat.
You know, I object to this testimony, Your Honor. It's hearsay.
That is hearsay.
Without saying what someone else told you, did you view any evidence from the phone itself?
Not from, I viewed a video that was given to me that he recorded off his phone.
Did you observe any signs of alcohol use or intoxication by alcohol with Mr. Hardy?
Through the video, yes.
But not from when you were there in person with the pursuit?
Officer Candoff had found the liquor, the alcohol, and the pills.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sergeant Smith. You're free to go on about your duties. Thank you.
Your Honor, the people will call Officer Michael Candoff.
Hey, Your Honor.
Yes?
How would I go about to get the dash cams and the cameras in the police car?
Mr. Bush, I assume, has already requested that information, and at some point, I think you'll have access to that. I think
they have been verbally requested. Obviously, after today, I will file a written discovery demand. Particularly, I want to see the Snapchat and the body cams of the officers.
All right, Officer Kendall, good afternoon. This is Judge Middleton. I'm over at the court in Centerville. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do, Your Honor.
Would you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Michael Paul Candolph. Candolph is Candolf.
Officer Candolph, the microphone is not great on that device, so just make sure you speak up for us, please. Officer Candolph, were you on duty for the city of Three Rivers on February 25th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, were you called to the North Main Shell for a situation regarding Chase Hardy?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you in full uniform that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And what vehicle were you in for the department that day?
I was in vehicle 883, ma'am.
And can you describe that vehicle as far as its markings and any lights that it may have on it?
That is the vehicle with a light bar, the only external light bar that we have, so it's very visible, as well as the push bar, and also the Three Rivers Police Department is printed in white on both sides of the vehicle and the rear of the vehicle.
Is it a passenger car or an SUV?
It's Chevy Tahoe, ma'am.
Okay. And do you remember what time of day it was when you got this call about Mr. Hardy?
It was approximately 1:20.
In the afternoon or at night?
Yeah, 1:20 in the afternoon.
How quickly were you able to respond to the area where the call came from?
Very quickly, ma'am. About 2 or 3 minutes. I was just coming back to the police station here on West Michigan when the call came out.
Available.
What information were you given regarding a suspect vehicle?
A caller at the North Main Shell had seen...
Just a minute. Could you turn that police radio down? It's interfering with this record.
Okay. I apologize for that.
All right, thank you.
Officer Candolph, what description were you given for the suspect vehicle that you were supposed to be looking for?
It was a white SUV with North Carolina plates.
When you went to the area of the North Main Shell, were you able to locate the suspect vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. I saw a white SUV with North Carolina plates pull into Frankie's and then pull out of Frankie's again. And that was when I was able to get behind the vehicle.
And when you say Frankie's, what are you referring to?
On North Main Shell, on North Main Street, just north of the theater and also the Shell station there is a restaurant with a train caboose as part of the building, and he had pulled into that parking lot and then pulled out of that parking lot.
Could you see how many people were in the vehicle?
I only observed one person in the vehicle.
Were you able to identify any characteristics of the driver of that vehicle?
I was able to tell that it was a younger white male that was driving the vehicle. I couldn't see exactly who.
The information that you have been given was regarding Chase Hardy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you looking for Chase Hardy?
He has a couple of felony warrants out of our department and would be a person of interest.
What did you do when you located the suspect vehicle with this young white male driver?
I attempted to make a traffic stop by activating my emergency lights. The vehicle stopped at the intersection of US 131 and North Main. However, as soon as the light turned green, it proceeded again, and I activated my audible siren to attempt to get the driver's attention, and it was completely disregarded.
How close to the suspect vehicle were you when you first turned on your lights?
When I first turned on the lights, I was behind a different car, but that car pulled off to the side, and I was able to come up right behind the suspect vehicle. So I was right in his rearview mirror.
And at that time is when the suspect vehicle turned northbound on 131, is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
And how quickly did that vehicle take off?
It got up to 60 within a few seconds, ma'am.
What did you do when the vehicle took off?
I changed my audible tone a few times to make sure that they would know that I was behind them. Once they did not stop, I informed dispatch that my traffic stop was no longer a traffic stop and that it was a pursuit.
Where was Sergeant Smith's vehicle in relation to yours during this pursuit?
I believe she was directly behind me when I first started my traffic stop, at least a few blocks away. And once I finally looked into my mirror during the pursuit, I saw that she was right behind me on my left.
How far did this pursuit go?
We went from North Main Street all the way to Schoolcraft.
Did it proceed
And then-
through downtown Schoolcraft?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what the speed limit is through downtown Schoolcraft?
I believe it's somewhere around 30 or 35, ma'am. I don't know for sure.
Okay. At any point during the pursuit, did you lose sight of the suspect vehicle?
No, ma'am.
At what point did the pursuit stop?
On XY Avenue, after we had made a loop going back towards 131, we passed 131 where he almost struck another vehicle, and on XY Avenue there was oncoming traffic. Once the oncoming traffic was passed, in order to prevent Hardy from moving past another civilian vehicle, I attempted to get beside him to keep him in that lane, and that is when he decided to pass on the right, that vehicle, and he went into the snowbank, and that was where I couldn't see that vehicle anymore.
After the suspect vehicle came to a stop, what did you do?
I put my patrol vehicle in park and sprinted back towards his vehicle.
And when you got to his vehicle, what was the driver doing?
He was sitting in the driver's seat looking at me. I could not see his hands at the time. And I had my weapon drawn and pointed at him.
And did you say anything to him?
I was yelling constantly for him to get out of the vehicle and to show me his hands. He did neither.
What did you do when he refused to show his hands and refused to get out of the vehicle?
I got over to the passenger side of the vehicle and opened it with my firearm hand and entered the vehicle from the passenger side, at which point he was just looking at me and he had his phone in his hand. I was able to holster my firearm, grab the phone out of his hand and throw it onto the floorboard, and attempted to grab his arm to pull him out of the vehicle, all while giving him commands to exit the vehicle.
And was he complying with your commands?
No, ma'am. He would pull his arm away from mine. He would try and twist his body, and at least he would sit there and just look at me, ma'am.
And at what point were you able to get him out of the vehicle?
Sergeant Smith had gotten up to the driver's side, which was closer to her vehicle, which had struck his. She was able to open the door slightly, at least enough that I could see that she got her arm in with a taser. And I heard the taser go off and Chase arched his back, at which point I was able to actually pull him through the vehicle and out into the snow on the other side.
Was Sergeant Smith saying anything during this time too?
I heard her yelling at him to get out
Without
of the
saying
vehicle.
what she said, but was she also giving audible commands to him?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
After you got him out of the car and into the snowbank, were you able to handcuff him?
Yes, ma'am. I rolled him over onto his stomach, and Sergeant Smith was able to come over and grab his other arm, and I was able to cuff him.
After he was under, or he was in custody, Did you perform any search of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. After we had secured him in the back of Sergeant Smith's vehicle, I had asked him about anything on his person that I should be aware of, and that is when he told me that he had swallowed a whole bunch of pills. I called for medics to respond and did a search of his person and didn't find anything on him. And then I went back to the vehicle and I found 3 pill bottles, prescriptions. They were his prescriptions. 2 of them were empty and 1 only had a few pills left in it. I also found an open container of alcohol on the floorboard as well as his phone.
Did you identify what Mr. Hardy's driving status was or his license status?
He had a suspended license. Yeah.
Was there anything else that you did as part of your investigation with this matter?
Besides going through the vehicle and looking up his driving history and his warrants, no, ma'am. Unless you count going up to the hospital and being there for his treatment there, ma'am.
So you went to the hospital after the medics had transferred him?
Yes, ma'am. I followed the ambulance up to the hospital in Kalamazoo and sat there until an auxiliary come up and relieve me.
The person that you had contact with on that date, I'm not sure if I had you identify him, is the person that you dealt with as the suspect vehicle and the driver of that vehicle, is he present in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you describe what he's wearing or what he looks like?
He is wearing a white and green horizontally striped uniform, and he has facial hair now that he did not have at the time of the incident.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant. And Officer Candolph, this situation started in St. Joseph County, is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
And then he was pursued into Kalamazoo County, is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
And during that entire pursuit, you did not lose sight of the suspect vehicle, is that correct?
No, not until the very end when he got into the snowbank.
No further questions.
Mr. Bush?
Officer Gandalf, you were operating as an officer in Three Rivers Police Department during this incident. Did you have a body cam on?
Yes, sir.
And has the body cam, the full body cam of this incident been preserved?
Yes, sir.
When Mr. Hardy got out of the vehicle, was there any fight going on? Was there punches, blows, kicks being exchanged either between the officers or Mr. Hardy and the officers?
None of that nature, sir. He just simply refused to give me his arm or allow me to pull him from the vehicle.
Did he appear to, you're an experienced officer, did he appear to have injuries from the collision?
Not that I was aware of, sir.
What amount of physicality was involved in getting him out of his vehicle?
Every attempt I made at grabbing his arm before the taser deployment, he pulled away from me or would not allow me to get him out of his seat.
Were any blows struck or anything to get his attention or to get him to submit, or was it primarily the taser that allowed you to physically get him out of the vehicle?
It was primarily the taser because of the way it forced him to arch his back. I was able to get him out through the entire vehicle at that point.
And you said that Officer Smith had a slightly open door. Is that because that's as far open as the door would go?
At the time, that's what I believe. I don't think that he could have gotten out that way, but he made no attempt to come with me.
Did he ever try to bring his left leg over to his right or anything, or try to move toward the passenger side of the vehicle?
No, sir. The only movement he made was to get his arm away from me.
And presumably this was his right arm then?
Yes, sir.
Were you involved in trying to apprehend Mr. Hardy before the 25th of February? In other words, trying to locate him in Three Rivers?
No, sir.
You never talked to his family or anybody trying to locate him or asked about him?
No, sir.
Had you met Mr. Hardy before that day?
I had never encountered him personally before that day, but I had been made aware of him.
Certainly he was on the radar of your department that day. I understand that. I don't mean your little radar, but you were looking for him. What were the speeds when you were driving north in St. Joe County and you approached Kalamazoo County? Some of it was fairly rural.
Up to Schoolcraft, he maintained a speed of around 60 miles an hour. When he was going through Schoolcraft, he was going approximately 45 to 50 miles an hour. Heading out into the country, he sped up to about 80 miles an hour and sometimes almost 90 miles.
I didn't catch, you said 80 and almost, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear the rest of what you said.
Almost 90, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
I have none. Anything further, Ms. Davis?
No, Your Honor.
Any further evidence you wish to present?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Bush, anything you wish to present?
Defendant would rest in this prelim, Your Honor.
Mr. Hardy, I know there's some things you'd like to say, but very rarely does anyone ever testify at a preliminary examination on the advice of their attorney, and I think that's probably good advice here. So we'll hear motions from the prosecutor.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would ask that Mr. Hardy be bound over on the complaint as it was filed with fleeing and eluding in the third degree and resisting and obstructing an officer, a maximum 2-year felony. We would ask that there actually be 2 counts of fleeing and eluding third and 2 counts of resisting and obstructing. The testimony provided by both of the officers is that they were both present from the beginning of this attempted traffic stop, that Mr. Hardy increased his speed. He refused to stop. He went several miles from our county into another one before there was an accident that occurred to end this pursuit. Both of the vehicles the officers were driving were fully marked police vehicles, one having an exterior light bar, but both of them having their lights going. Officer Candolph having his audible signal going and attempting to get the attention of Mr. Hardy. He was right on Mr. Hardy's bumper. He testified that after the initial attempted traffic stop where there was a vehicle in front of the police vehicle between Mr. Hardy's vehicle and the police, that vehicle moved to the side, which then allowed Officer Candolph to get right next to the suspect vehicle. Even so, he still took off on 131 and attempted to elude the officers to avoid getting caught. With the resisting and obstructing, both of these officers, again, are in fully marked patrol vehicles. They were in their department-issued uniforms. They were giving lawful commands to Mr. Hardy, and he refused to abide by them. He wouldn't show his hands. He wouldn't get out of the vehicle. He actively resisted by pulling his arms away. Sergeant Smith was able to then tase him, which gave Officer Candolph the chance to pull him out of the vehicle. But certainly a very dangerous situation, and he was not abiding by the commands that the officers were giving him. Thankfully, none of the officers were injured, so this would be simply the 2-year maximum on the resisting and obstructing. This, again, they both identified Mr. Hardy as the person that was driving the vehicle and that resisted them at the end of the pursuit. This happened in St. Joseph County at the beginning, and then there was the hot pursuit of Mr. Hardy through our county into Kalamazoo County, with neither of the officers losing sight of the suspect vehicle. I believe that that enough probable cause has been shown to bind him over on 2 counts of each, and we would ask that you do so. Thank you.
Mr. Bush?
Thank you, Judge. I would object to the bind over and ask the court to review the testimony in light of the standard. I think there is particularly should be some careful consideration to the resisting and obstructing charge on Officer Hardy. She's asking him to exit the vehicle. I think we've heard from Officer Gandalf that it was probably impossible to get out of that vehicle. There was impact. There was, I think, a very legitimate question from the testimony if that door would have opened far enough for him to have been able to exit that vehicle. I'd also object to the 2 counts of fleeing and eluding. I believe as the statute is written, it should be just 1 count. It was 1 transaction. So with those arguments, I would ask the court to dismiss the charges.
Thank you. I have some concerns about venue and jurisdiction. The case clearly began in St. Joseph County. The North Main Shell is just north of the city limits of Three Rivers. I don't believe it's in the city. Maybe the city limit is this. Anyway, it's either just at the north end or just out of the city of Three Rivers. The intersection of 131 and North Main is clearly outside the city limits. I didn't have any evidence or testimony that the officers are also deputized by the St. Joe County Sheriff, which could extend their jurisdiction beyond the city of Three Rivers. The chase then proceeded up 131, and the court will take judicial notice. 131 is a 4-lane divided highway. It's not a freeway. There are lots of on and off ramps, or on and off intersections. There are no ramps. Speed limit is 55 miles per hour. There's a median down the middle. It's probably 7 miles north to the county line, just north of Flowerfield Road, and then it becomes southern Kalamazoo County. It's probably then another 4 miles or so into Schoolcraft. Apparently there was some sort of turnaround in Schoolcraft and it headed back south. And then the vehicle went off the road. The matter is charged as fleeing and eluding 3rd degree with a crash, which makes it a 5-year felony as opposed to a 2-year felony. The crash was in Kalamazoo County. The resisting, obstructing a police officer also was in Kalamazoo County. Ms. Davis indicated it was part of a ongoing transaction, and there is law regarding a hot pursuit. I sincerely doubt if these officers are sworn deputies in Kalamazoo County. Ms. Davis, you argue that it is part of hot pursuit. What's your response to the issue that the crash and the resisting obstructing actually occurred in Kalamazoo County?
Your Honor, because the issue began in our jurisdiction, I think as far as the fleeing and eluding, even if it ended at the county line, the hot pursuit continued into the neighboring county. It was all part of one transaction that didn't complete until the crash happened and he was taken into custody. So I believe that it does fit under the hot pursuit and the circumstances around them continuing to follow him.
All right, well, what is the hot pursuit other than you saying it's hot pursuit? What's the authority for that?
Your Honor, I guess, obviously I can brief it, but when there is the exception for when it happens within 1 mile of the county line. So we are far beyond that 1 mile because the defendant chose to continue driving past our county lines. And these officers, I guess they could have just stopped chasing him and left people at risk, but they continued pursuing him. Again, it's not like they lost track of him and then caught back up with him in Kalamazoo County. And they have a good faith exception, I believe, to follow him to, when there's a felony warrant, he's believed to be the person that is wanted under that felony warrant. I believe that they have the ability to do that.
There is a statute regarding a continuing crime, and I was hoping you could cite me to it, but we may have to take a minute and find it. Mr. Bush, you have any response to that, particularly regarding the fact that any resisting obstructing would have occurred outside of St. Joseph County?
Well, throughout my preparation of this case, it's always been in the back of my mind that there could be companion charges in Kalamazoo County based upon that police report. To the best of my knowledge, there have been no charges authorized in Kalamazoo County, but it certainly is a jurisdictional venue issue the court needs to look into, Your Honor.
There is the 1 mile rule, as Ms. Davis indicated. Some of this, and there's no testimony regarding other than my observations here, and I don't know, I don't believe XY Avenue was within 1 mile of the county line. We'll take a recess here while we research this, see if I can find the statute. I used it a number of times when I was prosecutor, and frankly, it hasn't come up in 18 years. But let me see whether I can find it or someone else can give me some authority. But I'm concerned that the resisting obstructing did not occur in St. Joseph County. All right, we'll take a recess. We'll stop the record. We'll come back at 4 o'clock. Mr. Hardy, you can again see if you can.
What time is it, sir?
It's 20 to 4, so about 20 minutes from now we'll resume and see if we can find what we're looking for.
All right. So ask them if I can just go somewhere until then.
Or you can use the bathroom and just wait right in there. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
I appreciate it, Your Honor.
So many times.
I'll have to come back at 4, and he basically just said if there's a place I can go, so I don't just have to stay here.
Yeah, if they're working out, I'll come.
All right, thank you, Jeremy.
No problem.
Make sure we don't get disconnected.
uh, 7 minutes to 8 a.m. this morning. I guess that's 8 hours. But we're connected back once again. Well, we've got, here's John back. Deborah, I found what I was looking for.
I did too.
Welcome back, Mr. Hardy. We're back on the record here. The court on its own raised some concerns about venue. Venue is not an element of the offense. It doesn't have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's what can give the prosecution jurisdiction to handle the case. There are several statutes that apply to this. Oh, MCLA 768.6. Oh, wait a minute. MCLA 7.629 says that whenever a felony has been committed in an automobile or other moving vehicle, the offense may be prosecuted in any county or jurisdiction in which the conveyance was during the course of the offense committed. So that's what Ms. Davis was referring to as the hot pursuit rule. So the fleeing and lootings, including the crash, I think are included. There's also a statute, 762.3, whenever a felony consists of or is the culmination of two or more acts committed in perpetrating the felony, it may be prosecuted in any county in which one of the acts was committed. And this was a continuing offense. There's also a specific statute which I would recommend.
Yeah, could you give the site of that second statute?
The second one is
762.3.
762.3. And there's a specific statute where the prosecutor can ask the Attorney General to designate jurisdiction. That may solve the matter once and for all if you ask the prosecutor to designate jurisdiction. But for purposes of preliminary examination, these issues may still be relevant in the circuit court if there's a motion to suppress. But
Your Honor,
I would bind the matter over as requested by the prosecutor, only one count of fleeing and looting. There was one fleeing. There were two cars right one behind the other, and it was one. If you got 10 cars following them, you don't get 10 counts of fleeing and looting, I don't believe. It's one chase, as even to know whether he knew the second car was there. So one count of fleeing and looting, and I will allow a count of resisting and obstructing, one for each officer for failure to comply with their lawful commands. The R&O did occur in Kalamazoo County. My recommendation would be the prosecutor ask the Attorney General to designate jurisdiction of that. Does not appear was within 1 mile of the county line, but I'll leave that issue open for the circuit court. So, Mr. Hardy, I've agreed to the prosecutor's request to add a second count of resisting and obstructing on Elaine Smith. Bond here, I believe, also was denied, and it would be denied for the same reasons as in the first case. Is there anything else we need to place on the record here?
Just briefly, Your Honor, in the event that Mr. Bush is going to file a motion regarding this venue issue, we were also looking at MCL 762.8 about the issue with kind of expands upon 762.3 that you had pointed out, but there's an unpublished case that cites some published cases regarding the application of that. So People of State of Michigan versus Keene, Kean. It cites a few of the cases regarding multiple acts that constitute the commission of the felony and the choice of jurisdiction and venue on those. So thank you, Your Honor. We appreciate your time today, and we will get the felony information amended and sent up.
You know, I guess I'm really. And what was the citation on the quote hot pursuit statute then?
762.2, I believe it is.
762.9 is the one about felonies that occur in a vehicle.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Chase.
Thank you, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Hardy, good luck to you, sir. All of your cases, with the exception of the misdemeanors, the drug driving and the slash tire cases are still in jurisdiction of the district court. Everything else will be a circuit court matter. All right, good luck, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we will conclude this record. Officer Kendall, if you're good to go, I'll remove you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck, sir. All right, that concludes another long day.